The Galactic Empire stretched across thousands of stars, ruling with iron hands. For centuries, they believed no species could rise against them. Every world that tried was crushed. Every voice of rebellion was silenced. Humans were known as a minor race, their small blue planet far from the core of galactic power. The Empire saw them as weak, simple, and unimportant. They were not warriors, they were not conquerors. They were only dreamers in the eyes of the great empires. But deep inside the void of space, far beyond the Empire's watchful eyes, something was changing. Humans were not as simple as the galaxy believed. They had disappeared from politics, they had withdrawn from trade, they had stopped answering hails, while other species laughed. Humanity worked in silence. On a cold night above a barren moon, the Imperial scouts detected something strange. The scanners picked up an impossible reading, a distortion in space, as if reality itself was breaking apart. Officers on the scout ship leaned forward in shock. Their screens showed shapes forming out of nothing. At first they thought it was a sensor error. Then the distortion grew larger, brighter, stronger. The void trembled, and from that trembling void, a shadow appeared, long, sharp, heavy with steel. A warship, a massive vessel of Terran design, materialized from nowhere. It came with no warning, no jump signal, no wormhole signature. It was as if the universe itself had given birth to it. The scouts panicked. One shouted across the comms, "A human ship! But this is impossible." The other laughed nervously. "Humans cannot build ships like this." The Terran Warship floated silently, its hull black like the night, its weapons glowing with a dim light. No signal was broadcast, no greeting was sent. It simply existed, heavy and dreadful. The Empire's fleet commander was informed at once, and like every Rogan officer of the Empire, he dismissed the danger. "It is only one ship," he declared, "a fragile human toy. We will capture it, dismantle it, and display its wreck in the Emperor's court." Orders were given. 5 cruisers and 10 destroyers were sent toward the strange vessel. They locked weapons, they laughed on open channels, mocking the humans. Inside the Terran warship, the crew sat in silence, their faces calm, their voices steady. They had trained for this moment. Their captain stood tall, his eyes fixed on the stars. He whispered only one command: "Wait." The alien fleet approached closer, missiles armed, energy weapons charged. The commander shouted, "Fire!" But before their weapons could even launch, the Terran warship moved. A slow hum rose across its hull. Lights ran like rivers across its steel skin, and then a single beam of pure light exploded outward. In less than a breath, 3 alien ships were gone, turned to burning fragments that scattered into the void. Silence followed. The Empire's mocking laughter died instantly. Fear replaced arrogance. The surviving alien crews screamed across comms, "What is this weapon? What are these humans?" The Terran warship did not answer. It simply waited, heavy and unshaken, as if one strike was enough to declare its presence. In the Imperial capital, news of the encounter reached the High Council. Many laughed at the report, calling it lies, calling it fear of weak soldiers. Yet deep inside their hearts, unease grew. For the first time in centuries, the Empire had seen something it could not explain, a human warship that appeared from nothing, a warship that carried weapons unknown to any science of the galaxy. The story spread like wildfire, from one system to another. Whispers rose in every market, in every colony. They said the humans had returned. They said Earth had built something in the shadows. The Terran warship still floated in silence, watching, waiting, and the galaxy began to tremble. The destruction of the first alien fleet shocked the nearby systems, yet the Galactic Empire was not afraid. Pride was their shield, arrogance was their weapon. They had ruled the galaxy for centuries, and no single ship could change that, or so they believed. In the grand halls of the Imperial capital, the High Council gathered. Golden light fell upon their armor and their cloaks. Voices thundered across the chamber. "It was only luck. It was a trick. Humans cannot build weapons that defy physics," one senator shouted. Another laughed. "Let them have their toy. We will erase it like dust." Admirals, proud and cruel, prepared a larger force, 100 ships this time. Cruisers armed with the strongest plasma cannons, destroyers carrying swarms of missiles. They spoke with confidence. "The humans will bow, their ship will burn, and their weakness will be remembered." But far from the capital, in the cold black void, the Terran warship remained still, drifting like a ghost, its crew silent, its captain watching the stars. There was no celebration of victory, only calm discipline, as if they had already seen this moment before. Inside the ship, young officers whispered to each other, their voices low, "They are coming again." One said, "Do you think they will ever learn?" Another asked. The captain turned and spoke with quiet certainty. "The Empire does not learn, it only consumes, and today it will consume its own pride." When the Imperial fleet arrived, the stars themselves seemed to bend under the weight of their numbers. 100 ships moved in tight formation, their engines burning like suns, their weapons charged, their commanders shouting threats across every open channel. "Human vessels, surrender at once, you are surrounded, resistance is useless, the Emperor himself demands your capture." Their voices dripped with arrogance, laughter filled the comms, yet the Terran warship gave no reply. It floated silent, black and terrible, like a predator, waiting for the right moment. Impatience grew in the Imperial commander. "They insult us by ignoring us," he roared. "Prepare to fire on my mark." The countdown began. Alien gunners locked targets. Energy cores hummed with deadly power. But then, something strange happened. The Terran ship shifted. Its hull glowed faintly, almost alive. Patterns of light ran like veins across its body. Scanners screamed warnings. Unknown energy detected, unknown frequency, impossible readings. Before the Empire could fire, the warship released a pulse, invisible to the eye, yet heavy enough to crush systems. Half the alien fleet went dark, their ships frozen, their engines dead, crews trapped inside powerless vessels. Panic spread. "Our systems are failing, our shields are collapsing, nothing works," alien officers screamed in terror. The remaining half of the fleet tried to break formation. Missiles launched blindly, lasers cut through empty space. But the Terran warship moved faster than any ship had a right to move, its weapons unfolded, elegant and sharp. Beams of light danced like blades, slicing ships in half as if they were paper. Explosions lit the void, hundreds of lives lost in seconds, the Empire's pride burning before their eyes. The commander shouted, "Fall back, retreat!" But retreat was no longer possible. In less than 10 minutes, 80 ships were gone, reduced to wreckage, 20 more drifted powerless. Only a handful managed to escape into the dark, carrying the message that would spread like fire through the galaxy. On the bridge of the Terran warship, silence remained, no cheer, no pride, only calm eyes staring forward. The captain spoke again, his voice cold as steel. "They still do not understand. They will come with more, and we will answer with less." And so the galaxy whispered, one human ship destroyed 100 Imperial vessels. Fear crept into the hearts of emperors, kings, and warlords, yet still the Galactic Empire laughed. "They cannot stand against the full might of our armadas." But deep down in the dark places of their souls, even the proudest aliens felt the first taste of dread. For humanity had shown a weapon beyond reason, a strength beyond fear, and the Terran warship still waited, patient, silent, like the shadow of death. The galaxy shook with rumors. Across space stations, colonies, and alien courts, whispers spread like fire. A single Terran warship had erased 100 Imperial vessels. Many laughed in disbelief. Others trembled in silence. But one truth remained. Humanity was no longer weak. The Galactic Empire could not ignore the insult. Their pride had been wounded before the entire galaxy. The Emperor himself called the High Council. His voice thundered across the chamber. "No single human ship can defy the Empire. Assemble a grand fleet. Erase them. Leave nothing." Plans were made. The greatest armada in centuries would rise. Thousands of ships from every Imperial sector, dreadnoughts larger than cities, carriers holding swarms of fighters, titans armed with planetary cannons, an army meant to crush not just a ship, but an entire species. But as the Empire prepared, the Terran warship did not move. It drifted calmly in deep space, like a predator waiting for prey to step closer. The crew stood ready, their captain silent, his eyes sharp, his voice steady. They believe numbers will save them, but they do not understand. Fear is already their enemy. Imperial intelligence spread propaganda, broadcasting across the stars. The humans are fragile, their ship will fall, the Emperor's wrath will end this farce. But secretly, commanders whispered doubts. Their soldiers remembered the screams of dying fleets, the sight of impossible weapons cutting through steel. When the Grand Fleet finally gathered, the stars themselves seemed to vanish, space filled with countless engines, the glow of thousands of warships the Empire had never assembled such power in one place, their commander roared. Today the galaxy will see the fall of humanity. The Terran Warship floated before them, a black shadow against the endless fire of engines, alone, unshaken, a storm of weapons prepared to fire, missiles locked, lasers hummed, cannons glowed. The first strike was moments away, but then something happened, something the Empire had never seen. The Terran Warship began to split, its hull shifting, glowing, breaking apart into fragments of steel and light. The Empire watched in shock, scanners screamed with errors. Unknown readings, unknown technology, impossible formation detected. From the broken pieces, more ships emerged, smaller, faster, each one armed with weapons unseen. The single Terran vessel had given birth to a fleet, a phantom fleet. The Empire's admirals shouted in panic. This is not one ship, this is an entire armada. The phantom fleet moved with perfect unity, faster than thought. They surrounded Imperial formations in seconds, beams of light tore through carriers, fighters exploded before leaving hangars, dreadnoughts cracked open like shells. But it was not only firepower that broke the Empire, it was fear. Soldiers screamed, they are everywhere, they appear from nothing. We cannot track them. Ships collided in confusion, panic spread faster than orders. The captain of the Terran flagship spoke at last, his voice broadcast on every channel, cold, clear, unstoppable. Humanity does not seek war, but you brought war to our door. You mocked us, you enslaved others, and you believed yourselves untouchable. Now you will learn the price of arrogance. His words echoed like thunder across the galaxy. In 1 hour, a fleet of thousands was shattered. Entire sectors lost their defenders. The Empire's pride crumbled before the eyes of every world, and still the Terran Warship waited. A silent and calm, its phantom fleet vanishing into the void once more, leaving only wreckage, screams, and fear behind. The galaxy was no longer laughing. Fear now spread faster than light. Every world spoke the same whisper. The humans have returned. No one knew how a single Terran ship had unleashed such destruction. No one knew how phantom fleets could appear from nothing. But one thing was certain. The age of human silence was over. In the capital of the Empire, panic mixed with rage, the Emperor screamed across the halls, his voice echoing, "How can one forgotten species defy us? How can one ship break our fleets?" But no admiral gave an answer. Their heads hung low, fear in their eyes. Across the galaxy, ancient rumors were remembered, stories told in shadows. Long ago, before the Empire ruled, humanity had vanished from galactic politics. One day their fleets left the stars, their colonies went dark, their ambassadors closed their doors. It was as if humanity had hidden itself behind a veil. Some said they were weak and afraid, others said they had destroyed themselves. But a few whispered a darker truth, that humanity had gone into the void to build what no other species dared. Now those whispers seemed real. On the Terran Warship, the crew knew the truth. Their ship was not born in normal space. It was built in the hidden folds of reality, where time bent and physics broke. Humans had discovered dimensions beyond the galaxy's reach, and there, in silence, they forged weapons unlike any other. Young officers stood at their stations, their voices calm. One asked, "Captain, do they know what we are?" The captain shook his head. "They do not understand. They think we built a ship, but this vessel is more than steel. It is the memory of Earth itself. It carries the will of humanity." The warship glowed faintly, as if alive. Its systems were not mere machines, but something deeper, something fused with human willpower. Weapons that answered not only to commands, but to determination. Back in the Empire, secret councils gathered, old scholars trembled. This is no ship, this is the echo of humanity's lost age. If they have returned, the balance of power is broken forever. But the arrogant still refuse to believe. They are only humans, they bleed, they die, they will fall like all others. Yet deep inside, even the most stubborn leaders felt the weight of dread. News spread to other civilizations. Some cheered in silence, for they too had suffered under the Empire's chains. Others trembled, for if humans could wield such power, no one was safe. The Terran Warship did not boast. It did not conquer. It only waited, patient, silent. But its silence was louder than war drums, for every empire knew if one human ship could appear from nowhere, more could come. And then, a message came, not from the Empire, but from the outer colonies. Scouts had seen something, more shadows forming in the void, more Terran vessels. The galaxy gasped. If one ship destroyed thousands, what will happen if a fleet arrives? On the Terran bridge, the captain looked to his crew, his voice calm, yet filled with iron. The galaxy believes this is our weapon, but our true strength is not the ship. It is what we carry inside us, humanity itself. The crew nodded, their eyes steady, their hearts unshaken, for they knew the Empire had not yet seen the full power of Earth. They had only seen the beginning. And so the shadow of humanity grew, a legend reborn in fire and silence, a storm waiting to break. The Galactic Empire had never known fear. They had ruled for centuries, crushing every rival, enslaving entire species. But now, for the first time, their hands shook, their fleets burned, their pride lay in ashes. Yet pride is a dangerous thing. It does not vanish. It grows into rage. The Emperor roared in the High Council, his voice shaking the marble halls. Humanity thinks itself untouchable. They think their shadows make them gods, but we are the Empire, and we will remind them who owns the stars. From every sector of Imperial space, ships were called, Titans armed with planet killers, carriers with endless fighter swarms, dreadnoughts that carried enough firepower to erase moons. In hidden shipyards, secret weapons were awakened, massive siege cannons and fleets of automated drones. Never before had the Empire assembled such an armada. The people of the Empire cheered as propaganda filled the stars. The humans will fall, no one defies the Emperor. But in the shadows, soldiers whispered to each other, what if the humans are more than we think? What if one ship was only the beginning? Other civilizations watched in silence. Some prayed for the Empire's victory, fearing humanity's rise. Others secretly hoped the Terrans would win. For if the Empire could be broken, then maybe they too could be free. In the depths of space, the Terran Warship remained silent, drifting, its black hull reflecting no light, its crew calm, their captain unshaken. They are coming with everything they have, he said, his voice low. But numbers mean nothing if fear already commands them. Days later, the void itself trembled. The Imperial Armada arrived. Thousands of ships, their engines burning brighter than stars. The formation stretched across systems. Their weapons glowed, their shields hummed. The Empire believed it could drown one ship with a sea of steel. On every channel, threats echoed. Human vessel, your shadow tricks end today. You face the wrath of the galaxy's greatest power. But the Terran Warship gave no answer. Silence was its weapon. Silence was its defiance. The Armada spread out, preparing to strike from all directions. Missiles armed, cannons aimed, dreadnoughts ready to fire. Commanders shouted orders. Surround it, crush it, leave nothing. But inside the Terran ship, the crew stood steady. No fear in their eyes, no panic in their voices. The captain raised his hand and whispered, they believe the battle begins with them, but it begins with us. The ship's systems awakened. Lights flowed across its hull like rivers of fire. Scanners screamed warnings. Unknown power rising. Impossible readings detected. The Empire's admirals shouted in confusion. What are they doing? And then space itself began to break. The void cracked like glass. Shadows bled into reality. One Terran ship became many, but these were not ordinary vessels. These were leviathans of war, larger, darker, older, weapons from a forgotten age. The Empire gasped, their bravado shattered. This is not possible. No species can summon ships from nothing. The Terran captain's voice filled the comms, calm, steady, terrifying. You wanted war, you will have it, but understand this. Humanity does not rise for conquest. We rise because you forced us. And now the galaxy will remember our name. As the shadows solidified into a fleet of giants, silence fell across the Empire's armada. For the first time in their history, they were not hunters. They were prey, and the battle was about to begin. The void was silent. The two forces faced each other across endless stars, the Galactic Empire with thousands of ships, a storm of steel and fire, and the Terran fleet born from shadows, silent and dark. The Empire's admirals shouted with rage, "This is our galaxy. This is our throne. Fire everything." In an instant, the stars lit up. Thousands of beams, missiles, and plasma storms rushed forward, a wall of destruction that could erase entire worlds. The void shook. Space itself seemed to scream, but the Terran fleet moved, not like machines, not like soldiers, but like predators. Their ships weaved through chaos with impossible grace. Every shadow vessel slipped between blasts. Every dreadnought turned with perfect timing. The first wave of Imperial fire burned into nothing. Then humanity answered. The Terran Warship pulsed, its weapons awakening with thunder. Beams of white light tore through enemy. Lines, dreadnoughts split apart, carriers exploded, fighters vanished before they could fire. The Empire's numbers meant nothing. Fear spread faster than orders. Soldiers screamed, "They are everywhere! Their weapons cut through shields! Our systems are dying!" Imperial formations broke. Thousands of ships scattered trying to escape the Phantom fleet, but the Terran vessels followed with relentless speed. 1 strike, 10 kills, 100 kills. The Empire's greatest armada burned like dry paper. Inside the Terran flagship, the crew worked with calm precision, their captain's voice steady. "Do not waste fire. Strike where fear is strongest. Break their spirit before their steel." And so it happened. The Empire's superweapons, massive siege cannons hidden on colossal titans, tried to turn the tide. Beams larger than mountains fired into the void, but the Terran fleet split into dimensions, shadows swallowing them whole. The blast passed through empty space, leaving nothing but failure. Then the shadows struck back. One titan fell, then another, its death echo shaking the galaxy. The Empire's pride collapsed with it. From world to world, the battle was broadcast. Civilians watched in horror and awe. A single Terran fleet crushing the greatest power in history. Whispers grew louder. "The humans are unstoppable. The humans have returned." The Emperor's voice thundered across comms, desperate, furious. "Fight, fight, you are the Empire. You cannot lose." But his words fell on broken spirits. Ships surrendered, crews abandoned weapons, many simply fled, leaving allies to die. The Terran captain spoke once more, his voice carried across every frequency, calm and merciless. "We did not want this war, but you forced it. Remember this day, for it will be written not in your victories, but in your ashes." And the battle ended, where once thousands of Imperial ships stood, only burning wrecks remained. Where once the Empire's pride roared, only silence drifted. The Terran fleet stood victorious, untouched, unbroken, and the galaxy itself trembled, for it had seen the impossible. The Empire defeated, its throne shaken, its future uncertain. The battle was over. The void was quiet. Only the wreckage of thousands of Imperial ships floated among the stars. Fires burned in silence. Broken hulls drifted like tombstones. The greatest armada in history had been destroyed. The Galactic Empire was broken, its fleets shattered, its admirals dead or running, its people terrified. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy looked at the Empire and saw weakness. But in that silence, one sound rose, a single broadcast sent from the Terran flagship, carried across every frequency, every system, every world. The voice of the Terran captain was calm, steady, and merciless. "We are humanity. We are not gods, we are not conquerors, but we are not weak. You enslaved worlds, you mocked us, you tried to erase us, and now you know the truth. Humanity does not kneel." Across the galaxy, billions listened, soldiers froze, rulers trembled, and slaves whispered hope. The captain continued, his words like thunder in the void. "Remember this day not because we destroyed your fleets, not because we shattered your pride, but because humanity returned from silence. We watched, we waited, and when you forced our hand, we answered." The Terran warship glowed, its hull alive with rivers of light. The shadows around it began to shift again, the Phantom fleet dissolving back into nothingness. Imperial survivors screamed in fear. "They are vanishing, they are leaving. They could appear anywhere, anytime." And that was the greatest terror. Not that humanity had won, but that no one knew when they would return. A warship could materialize in any system, above any world, in any moment. The captain's final words burned into history. We do not seek war, but we do not fear it. Remember this galaxy. Humanity endures, humanity fights, humanity rises. Then the signal cut, the Terran fleet faded, shadows swallowed them whole. In seconds, the humans were gone, leaving only wreckage and silence. In the throne world of the Empire, the Emperor sat in his hall, his crown heavy, his voice broken. How do we fight ghosts? How do we rule when fear rules us? His council gave no answer, for none existed. And across the stars, in markets, in taverns, in slave camps and palaces, one whisper grew louder than all. The humans have returned, and the galaxy will never be the same. The legend was born, the story of the Terran Warship that appeared from nowhere, the ship that shattered the Empire, the ship that reminded the galaxy of a forgotten truth, that humanity was the most dangerous species of all.